Hi everyone, good afternoon. Thanks for joining. So we'll start with the weekly analysis of indexes, and we'll also go over some of the stocks, uh, so that the members who would like to trade on the stocks in their watch list, they could benefit. So starting with SPX index, as we see, the rally continues in the SPX index. Most of the stocks are in oversold region, almost at a range where we can see profit booking happening. So you see, last week there was green doji closing. It had a high of 4,322 and then closed just under 4,300. And it's in the resistance band where the upper side is 4,350. So from this range with the doji closing, if you are still on some of your positions, it's good time to book your profits for your long term, for your long positions, if you have taken for swing trade or short term trade. For the long term positions, you could still prefer to take some portion of your positions profit, and for the remaining you could plan to average down once it takes a small dip, and the correction could be close to 4,100, so which would be about 200 points of correction which you can expect from the weekly chart. Although the support bands are down, 4,100 is the mid Bollinger Band, which could be a good support for those who would like to increase their positions on the stocks which are tracked by S&P 500 for long term. If you look on the daily chart, so market is facing a strong resistance. Although it had given a high on Friday, you see there's a red closing, which means the probability of correction is high. There's a gap here which should get filled soon, in 2 to 3 weeks time. So if you are already on some positions, it's a good time to book your profits. For those who are trading options, it could be good time to take put positions if you are not already on some of the put positions. The strike price around 4,200 if you are trading SPX futures. Looks cool. It could be good for an expiry of about a week or over a week. Ideally, 2 weeks expiry looks good. So if we move from SPX to NDX, Nasdaq 100, let's see from weekly chart first. You can see a similar trend. The doji closing on NDX as well. It almost touched the resistance band. The resistance band for NDX is close to 14,700, and it had made a high of 14,672. So it's at the oversold, overbought region at the resistance. So for those who have been on to the positions, it's good time to book your profits. And those who are planning to take options trade, it's a good time to look at the put options for about 2 weeks of expiry. And the strike could be close to the mid Bollinger Band here. Mid Bollinger Band here is at 13,008, 13,080. So 13,100 or 13,200 could also be a good strike price. With this long rally, we can expect correction which could go for 2 to 3 weeks, since we are looking at the weekly chart. If we look at the daily chart, just expand here. So again, on the daily chart, the market is showing resistance around this price where it has closed 14,500. So at this price range, looking at the candle formation as well, it looks to be a good opportunity for getting into put positions. If you haven't opened at the start of the market in this new week, it could be a good time to get into put options. The mid Bollinger here is 1487. So 14,100 would be about 400 points of drop, which is good, healthy correction for Nasdaq 100, which means major tech stocks, you can expect them to drop, take a small correction before they continue ahead. Since on the longer timeline, as I had mentioned in the last week as well, Nasdaq shows upside close to 15,800. So with the longer term, it's a bullish trend. In the short term, a small correction would help to give you a better entry points for your longer term positions. This gap was closed by this week, so it may or it may not reach this range. However, strike around the mid Bollinger Band close to 14,000 could be a good price. For those who are trading on QQQ, which tracks Nasdaq 100, so if we look at QQQ on the weekly chart, it's also at the resistance, and this we are looking at weekly chart. Its resistance band was close to 358. It made a high of 357.66, which is almost like touching the resistance band. So although it was a doji with a longer week both on upside and downside, it's a good entry for those who are planning to take either short positions or put options, especially for 2 to 3 weeks expiry would be a good entry for those who are trading in QQQ. For QQQ, the support looks to be around this range. Mid Bollinger Band is at 320, and this 322 range could be a good strike price to enter. Look on the daily chart. Clearly, the candle is gravestone doji, and with the EMAs down, although the EMA direction is upward, with the EMA price ranges, you can see support around 340, 330, and then small support band here at 320, 321, and we saw on weekly chart around 322. So this price range would be good for those who are planning to either add to their existing long-term positions or planning to take new long-term positions. So waiting for correction of another about 30 points to enter for long-term. If you are trading on the leverage ETFs following QQQ and TQ, following QQQ and NDX, since we are talking about this, we can quickly cover TQQ and SQQ as well. So same pattern what we saw for QQQ. It is touching the resistance band around 38. It had a high of 37.70. So very close to the resistance band. And its EMA 100 is at 34. And then EMA 50 is at 29.54. And then the EMA 20, which is the mid Bollinger Band, is at 28.80. So put options of either of these price, especially if you are looking at put strike around 28, you should look 2 to 3 weeks further expiry or even more. Once the correction happens, this could be profitable. The strong support band is at 1763, which is way further down. When the lower Bollinger Band is at close to 20. So for those who are trading options, I would suggest to look for strike price around mid Bollinger Band. If you are planning to enter for long-term positions, then you can wait for it to correct close to 20. Either for entering new positions or if you are planning to increase your existing positions. Overall, as I was mentioning about NASDAQ, if you look at TQQ, upper Bollinger Band is close to 74 on the monthly chart. Even if it come close to 58, and if you enter around 20, which is, if you take this mid Bollinger Band is 33 and 100 EMA on the weekly chart is 25.5. So if you enter close to the 100 EMA price as well, it would be a good entry for getting close to 100% return. So at this time, since it has closed above mid Bollinger Band, the correction may not be that steep unless there's interest rate hike even in the US, like what was announced recently last week for Canadian bank, from the Canadian bank's perspective. So if we see interest hikes in the US, the drop could be steep. Since we have had this inclined upward move, reaching 28 at this point looks to be not immediate unless there is some extreme news coming in, but still would be good price range for those entering for longer term. For this week, depending on the candle that we are seeing and overall market resistance here, it looks to be a good for those who would be taking put options and also those who prefer to take short positions. Instead of short position, I would suggest to look for SQQ. If you look at SQQ, it has been taking support at this price range around 2170. So buy around the close price around 2170 for first target of 23, second target of 24, 24.22 is the mid Bollinger Band. A target of 24 would be good. And if you are seeing the market is turning bearish, you could also hold it for few positions. You can hold it for a target of 25. Since it has been touching the lower Bollinger Band, it reaching the resistance of 29 on the weekly chart. It could take some time. And again, that would depend upon any negative news coming in the market. For SQQ, since the overall long-term market trend is bullish, I would still suggest to take swing trades for very short term. One to $1.5 profit is good enough to enter and exit on SQQ. And this is primarily because of overall long-term market trend being bullish, as I was showing on the monthly chart. Since the market overall long-term trend is bullish and it has had closing above mid Bollinger Band, any short positions or put positions or just very short-term trade, one to less than a week's trade would be good for this bearish trend positions. Since we covered SPX, NDX, let's also cover DJI, Dow Jones. For Dow Jones, the trend looks slightly different from what we saw for SPX and NDX. It's also in the resistance band, but it has not touched the upper Bollinger Band, and it has entered the resistance band and still has a upside until 34,447, which is another 600 points. So we can still expect some bullish direction for the stocks which are backed by Dow Jones. We look on the daily chart, or on the daily chart, it is almost touching the resistance band. And the high here was 33,975, and the resistance band is close to 34,000. So it could, for if the stocks on Nasdaq and SPX, especially if the technology stocks drop more, we can expect major stocks to face resistance, the ones which are followed by the Dow Jones as well. So if you would like to play conservative, you can plan to book your profits and be ready for your bearish trend positions if you are planning to take quick trades. And if you have already taken swing trade, which might be in profit already, so you can book your profits. With the resistance band here, it could have small upside, but you can expect correction to happen soon. So if you are holding, you can hold for few days, but plan to book your profits of your majority of your positions and keep your positions in lesser quantity for higher targets. Being on cash for bearish trend positions, that would be more preferable. We take PSX. For TSX on the monthly chart, it has closed at the mid Bollinger Band, almost at the mid Bollinger Band. And if you look on the weekly chart, it had its 100 EMA close to 19,794. It got pulled up and faced resistance again at EMA 50 and is almost going close to its EMA 100. So with the last candle, if you look closely, it's a bearish engulfing candle, and you can easily expect TSX index to drop close to 19,800. 19,794 is the 100 EMA. With the candle that it has formed in the last week, you can expect it to touch the 100 EMA. We look on the daily chart, the trend is clear. It has almost formed three red candles, which we also call it as three black crows, which is a strong indication of a downward trend. And it should drop to close this gap. And if it closes this gap, it would touch the range that we were discussing on the weekly chart. 19,735 is here. So if you are holding stocks largely on TSX, you should expect the market to drop and your positions also going. If you are on long positions and for long term, we can expect these prices to drop. If you want to add to your positions, I would suggest to still wait for next week, as it could go beyond this range. It could go beyond even the 100 EMA range. So at this point, I would suggest to just either, if you are in profit, you could exit your positions and wait for it to drop. If not, then it's not the right time to average down your positions. And this could apply for some of your banks, which primarily impact the TSX trend. So in the near term, the trend is still downward. Let me just move to here. Actually, I can add a trend indicator. Yeah. So clearly the direction is downward. We look on daily or weekly chart. On weekly chart, it is still at minus 54 and it could drop under or close to minus 80. So expect couple of weeks to be downward in bearish trend. So with the current price, I would suggest to wait for it to touch near the support band. Even on the weekly chart, it would be better for those who are planning to take positions for longer terms. And especially for those who are looking for stocks which give good dividend, it would be time for you to wait at least, I would say, mid of June to see that it touches the support range, and that time you could plan to enter. Okay. So any questions on any of the indexes that we have analyzed so far? Abhijit? Hi, Gaurav.
Hey, Kamal.
So with the indexes, any questions on indexes so far?
Kamal, I just had a comment. I'm sorry, I have just joined, so probably I might have missed what you just said. But when I was looking at the charts last week, essentially I see a channel, and it's a long-term channel on the weekly chart. So it starts somewhere on from sometime June last year, I guess. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at it very approximately. And there you see three peaks. So that's the upper line of the channel. And at the bottom side, again, you'd see about three or four bottoms. So TSX currently is at that bottom and has just moved up from there. Yes, if you see, you practically see the four red blocks at the three red blocks at the top that you see. They form the upper line of the channel, and the green ones at the bottom that you see. Yes, this one, the one before it, and the one right at the beginning. Those three form the lower part of the channel. So essentially, TSX has just moved up from the lower line of the channel and could likely make a move till the upper end. But yeah, I haven't been looking very deeply, but that's what at a high level I saw. And if you explained it a few minutes back, that's fine. But I just joined, so I thought I'll share.
Yeah, that's a good observation. So what I was saying is that it had touched the 100 EMA, it got pulled up. But if you look closely, the last week's candle, it has formed a bearish engulfing candle.
Right.
And with the indicators, if you look at the Williams R, it's a direction that it couldn't sustain this pullback up and is continuing further down. So with this week's closing, it is definite, almost certain, although there's no guarantee, that it would touch the 100 EMA again, which is at 17,984, which means about 100 points drop. And at 100 EMA, it could take support.
Correct.
However, if we look on the daily chart, lower Bollinger Band is at 19,754. So if it takes support here, which means it would be closing this gap. There's a gap here which would get closed. If it takes support, that's good. But if the bearish strength is more, the bearish momentum is more, it could go further down until lower Bollinger Band. And the Williams R indicator and other trend indicators as well are still downward. So although there was a reversal last week or last to last week. It faced a resistance here and has started continuing downward further. So for this week, I would suggest to wait for it to correct, see whether it takes support at 100 EMA here at 17, close to 17,800. If it takes support, then you could enter. But most likely looking at the trend, that support might not be strong and it could fall down further. So a better entry point would be closer to the lower Bollinger Band, which is almost about flattening at 17,540. So which is another 350 points of drop.
Fair enough. Makes sense.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Great. If there are no other questions, we'll take Abhijit's request on LONQ.
That's IONQ.
Okay, IONQ. Is this the one?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see the weekly chart. So are you on the stock trade or you are trading options for this one?
No, I took the profit. I was holding stocks. After some profit, I sold it, but I want to re-enter. Just that's why I want to do this analysis.
Okay, fair enough. So it's good that you already made some profit on this. Let's see how is its trend. So on the monthly chart, weekly chart, and on daily chart. On daily, it's still not in overbought region, but on monthly and daily chart, it's in overbought region. So for re-entry, we'll have to wait for some time. This last candle is a gravestone doji. At the current price, I would suggest it's good to wait for it to drop at least until the mid-Bollinger price of 9.35. Small entry you can make around around $9. And if you are planning to enter in bigger quantity, 6.9, it might not reach soon. Mid-Bollinger here is at 6.83. And with its still upward trend, it could go closer to 11.5 again. And I'm saying that based on Williams-House direction. But since it has formed a doji, on the daily chart, it's more clear that the price could correct before going further. So if you are planning to re-enter, and if you are okay with entering at this price range, your entry could be close to $9. Currently, it is at 10.55. So about $1.5 drop. There's a thin support band here at 8.3. So you could make a entry with small quantity around $9. Wait to see whether it holds around this price. And if it drops, plan to have cash so that you could increase your positions by, let's say you can double your position. A good entry would be around $7. But if you're planning to enter early, enter at 9 with your target of 10.55. Let's see on the, I think 10.5 and 11 could be your targets. Upper Bollinger Band here is 11.8. So 11.8 it could reach, because previous high was 11.65. So I would suggest to keep your target to 11.5 itself. So entry at 9 and first target at 10.5, second target at 11.5. That is still a good profit looking at your buy price. 1.5 and $2.5 profit.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. Okay, so for this week, unless you are planning to take short trade, but I think I would suggest better to wait and
Hmm.
enter.
Yeah, so I sold this and I entered in SQQ
Okay,
last Friday.
that's good. That's good. Okay, so let's take
Next is QBTS.
yeah, QBTS. Okay, QBTS. In last 3 weeks, it has had a big rally. Was there any
Yeah,
news?
so yeah, this is quantum computing companies, both IO and QBTS. So based on AI hype, I entered at 90 cents and I sold around 2. So
Wow,
it was good.
that's great. So you already made more
Yeah, and I sold
than
everything now. I want it to drop around below around 1.5,
yeah. So
1.3.
1.3, 1.3, 1.4 would be a good entry point here. It's 1.34 is the 100 EMA, which if you look here, it has taken support on 100 EMA 1, 2, 3, 4 times almost. Here it acted as resistance. So
Right.
wait for it to drop under 1.5. Mid Bollinger Band is 1.44, and plan to keep your trade around the around the 100 EMA price that time, because EMA's
Right.
price are dynamic. Based on the closing, the EMA prices would change. If I look here, it has been taking support around this range. So it could be when it drops, this 100 EMA could be around 1.30, which could be good entry for you. So about $1
Okay.
drop in price. Okay,
Okay. Thanks, Kamal.
no problem. It seems along with that, and NVDA is similar.
Yeah. I mean, I was doing NVDL. Now I entered in NVDS, but still I
Okay,
want to see.
right. So that is tracking just the NVIDIA. So is it? I did see it's 1.24, 1.5 times NVDL and NVDS.
1.25.
1 point. Okay, this. Yeah, I did
I
check
think
this one.
NVDS is 1.25.
Okay. Okay, so for NVDA, yeah, based on earnings, it had a huge jump, and now it is trading sideways. If you look on the weekly chart, yeah, it had gone outside upper Bollinger Band, is quite getting pulled back in. It shows us support around 336, which is another 50 points of drop. So if you are already in NVDS, that's a good entry if you have taken last week. And with another 50 points drop, it could also give you good returns. Let's just check NVDS. So what was your entry price?
Around 9.25.
Okay, that's nice. So it is currently at 9.47. Even if you take high of this, which is 10.5, 10.59, 10.5 could be your first conservative target wherein you could book small quantity of your positions, because it had this huge gap down because of NVDS gap up. It could take some time to close, so you don't need to target for close of this gap for your target price. 10.5 and 11 could be your targets for NVDS.
Okay.
Yeah, or mid Bollinger Band price whenever it starts moving up. With the candle that it has formed, you can expect it to move up. It could face small resistance around this price, which it has faced earlier, around 9.9, close to 10. But it should touch this high, which it had formed on May 25th.
Right.
But do keep stop loss as well. And your stop loss could be this low on May 30th. Low was 8.59. So if you have entered around 9.25, keep a stop loss at 8.5 for your target of 10.5 and 11 or mid Bollinger range.
Okay.
All right. So is there any other request, Abhijit, from you?
No, that's all I have. Thank you. Thank you, Kamal.
Okay, you're welcome. So now let's take Gaurav's request, and TOU was one of my favorite oil. Okay, so with the weekly trend and also on the daily, Gaurav, are you already on this or you're looking to enter or book your profit?
Yeah, I am in this at 58 point something, and I think I was targeting around 62 on this one.
Okay, yeah. So I'm seeing that mid Bollinger Band is 60.72, and last week it had formed a high of 61, which we saw on this. So it had faced resistance at the 100 EMA, had gone up and is looking to take support again at EMA 50 and mid Bollinger Band as well. So once it takes this support and goes further up, your target of 62 or 62.5 looks achievable. The upper Bollinger Band is at 61.88. So I think.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm looking at this one on this one, Kamal, is on this chart that you're at. If you look, the top is just like a resistance close to 62 or 61.88, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And then on the bottom side, it's the trend line is essentially, if you look at the last three green buy signals that you have, or it's making like a wedge, a
Yes.
rising wedge, or you could say an ascending triangle,
Yes.
right? So that sort of
Higher
gives
highs,
me
higher lows.
higher lows, correct? So that sort of also gives me a feel that it could likely break the 62 resistance and have a breakout as well. So I'm trying to decide between partially liquidating or probably going for a breakout, because I think this one is trying to rise for quite some time, and probably it's this particular range. If you see that red channel, this is where it always gets stuck.
Yeah. So if you look on the weekly chart, that price range is basically the mid Bollinger Band, is where it is facing the
Mhm.
resistance and it is going down. And whether it will break at this attempt, it could be 1, 2, 3, and this is the fourth attempt. It could break. So if you would like to take a chance, I would still suggest that you book profit on your 75% of your positions,
Mhm.
at, say 1685,
Mhm. Mhm.
and keep 25% of your positions for the next higher target. There's a small resistance band here at 67.37, and on the weekly chart, in fact, 50 EMA is at 62.59. So
Yeah, in fact, also on your weekly chart, Kamal, if you see the last two candles has the wick touching this black EMA, I think it's 100.
100, yeah, yeah,
Right. So it's taken support twice from here and trying to rise up. So I think it's now just a matter of breaking the blue EMA. I'm not sure which one that is, but I
yeah.
think it's
That
it's
is,
just a matter of probably time that it should break upwards.
yeah. So looking at weekly chart and these EMAs, you could still keep your target at 62.5.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, and that target could be for your 75% of your positions.
Right.
Likely it could break because it's a fourth attempt.
Hmm.
I'm counting this as first, second, third, and fourth attempt. Usually in fourth attempt, uh, it should reverse. It's also a channel where it is trying to reverse because it was
Correct.
downward trend and then it is trading.
It's sort of flattened and now it's trying to move up.
Yeah, yeah. So you can keep your target, and if you want to be sure, you can keep your 75% of your position with target around either 61.85 or
Hmm.
62.5, and remaining you can hold it for upper Bollinger Band, which is uh, here currently is at 65.5. It could drop close to 65.
Sure, makes sense, Kamal. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is Infi. Are you holding some positions on Infi India as well?
Uh, India, yeah, I mean, India is in my dad's portfolio. That's more of a dividend position, so that's actually working well. So I wasn't too bothered when Infi fell, uh, because it's Infi. We know it's going to recover. For this one, I have been eyeing this since it had that big gap down on the day chart. So I have a position on this one at 15.32 to be precise.
Mhm.
uh, in no hurry. And again, if we look at the two red sell signals at the top and the three buy signals at the bottom, looks like a channel to me, and currently looks to be at the bottom of the channel. So I am looking at an up move on this one.
Yeah, so I would say because of this last three candles, uh, it, and here it had moved up before reaching the support range. So
Hmm.
now it is going further down, and it could take 3 to 4 sessions, and it could be at the support range of close to $15,
Mhm.
where you could plan to increase your positions.
Fair enough.
And then take it further for your potentially first target of $16 and second target of 16.5
Yeah, fair enough. Thanks, Kamal.
when it closes the gap. So for now, probably towards the end of this week, see if it is near the support range, or you can keep
Mhm.
your order in the system. The low,
Yeah, I am these days working on weekend trading only, so I
Yeah.
just keep my orders on the system and then look at it on the weekend.
right. So the lower side of this band is 1480 and
Mhm.
upper side is 15. So you can place an order at $15 itself. And when it takes support, your current price, uh, your average would also come down so that it would be easier for you to exit at profit at $16 as well. Your high was at 1597. So you could keep your target at 1595.
Fair enough.
Okay. All right. So we will take CP, TSX or NYC.
TSX.
Okay.
So on CP, I think it is, essentially my assessment says that, it is in that buying zone, essentially at trading at support levels or close to support levels. So I'm thinking this is a good time to buy, and this too, in my long-term portfolio. So this to me looks at a good buying zone. Uh, and yeah, that's essentially, most of the reason I'm looking at this.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at a little longer horizon. And if you see here, it has been consistently taking support on 100
At
EM,
100 EMA, yeah.
right? So this time it had not. And with this last week's big red candle around 98 or 100, when this next or this week's candle gets formed, the 100 EMA might also move slightly forward up,
Hmm.
and around 99 or 100 would be a good time for you to enter this if you are planning to enter this week. Yeah. So there's a support band here, 101, and the lower Bollinger Band is at 99. So I think even the trend indicators, Williams or CCA on daily chart could give you reversal indication because these are already in oversold. So from that perspective, it at a good price range. I would just suggest to wait for it for another about $2 drop,
Hmm.
a reversal confirmation to enter. Or even if you place an order buy at 99 or 100, that should still be good as an entry price.
Fair enough. Yeah,
And you
makes
could
sense.
get an entry at the lowest on the lower Bollinger, it's at the lower Bollinger Band, and you could get entry at the lowest point on the trend indicators.
Hmm.
Okay, so another good thing looking at the longer trend is it has been making higher lows. So the overall trend is upward.
Yeah, it's logistics, so it will generally have uptrend.
Yeah. So in terms of for a longer term as well. If you are entering for longer term, it's still okay to enter at around 100
Mhm.
and could give you about $8 to $10 profit if you are looking for holding for 3 to 4 weeks. Upper Bollinger Band is 100. So let's say if you enter around 100, your first target could be 106, second target 109, and third target of 111. And I'm not even looking at the upper side of the resistance bands, just at the lower side. So that still gives you 5 to 10% of returns on this trade.
Correct.
Okay, so I think we have covered the 3 requests from you. Any last request? Gaurav, is that good?
Yeah, that's all from me, Kamal. Thanks so much.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so I think there's one more stock which I want to cover. There was a request from number is Shopify. Let me here. If we look at Shopify from end of October, it has reversed, and for those who are holding Shopify from long term, it has been on good upward trend. However, from the past 3 weeks, we see that it has been going through correction, which we saw on TSX as well. That since we are expecting TSX to drop as well. So for those who are holding Shopify, at this price, if you are not in profit, you could still continue to hold. And if you would like to average down, wait for it to drop till mid Bollinger Band or at 71 price if you want to average down. With the TSX trend and also with the correction expected in the US market, I do expect Shopify to correct some more before it continues further up. It might not close this gap as the gap is close to 64. This support band here at around 71.50 would be the price that you should be looking for averaging down to hold it further. In terms of target for those who are holding it at higher prices, with this reversal here and higher highs, if you look closely, it has been forming higher highs on the weekly chart. So we can still expect the longer term trend for Shopify to be upwards. And this high of 94, yeah, it could go beyond that price as well.
Yeah, Kamal, also on this one, if we look at the on this one, this chart, if you look at the last 3 buy signals that this chart is showing, all these 3 tend to form another trend line. I mean,
Yes,
that's what I see on the screen. So wherever the current trend sort of gets close to that trend line would be a good point of reversal, so good point to enter.
that's right. That's totally right. So, let's see if I can do this. It's not giving here. But anyways, what he said is absolutely right. So just visually drawing a trend. So if we draw a trend line, it could come closer to this mid Bollinger Band.
Yep, that's what it seems to me as well.
Yeah. So
I'm on my phone, otherwise I would have shared the picture.
yeah. So I just try to visually draw. Let's see if I can. So if we just connect this, it comes to close to the mid Bollinger Band price. That would be a good price for entry. Similarly, yeah. So it has been so I think entry around mid Bollinger price would be good, either for new entry or for averaging down or taking it further. Mid Bollinger Band is 68, 62, and this support band here is at 71, which would be a good price for entry. So if you are holding, you can hold. If you have some cash, it looks to be good stock to add some cash to bring down your average. With the upward trend, you would be able to exit in profit faster, for especially for Shopify, looking at the trend and knowing Shopify stock. Okay, I think that was it. So with that, we have covered all the requests. Gaurav or Aditya, is there anything else?
No, nothing from my end, Kamal. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good as well. Thanks so much.
Okay, great. So with that, then we will stop for our session here. And we'll start this.